Hello everyone and welcome to our Reckoning Top 3 Decks video. Reckoning is a 16-player invitational tournament where players fought over their share of a $1,000 prize pool and the honor of being the world's first Reckoning champion. Today we'll be taking a look at the best performing decks of the event so we can get a better understanding of how patch 1.6 changed things. But before we begin, please take a second to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date for all of our Legends of Runeterra content. Also, be sure to check the links in our description for all of our social media pages. We've got a lot of people working behind the scenes to keep the content flowing and to allow for our weekly LoR tournaments. Now,
are you ready to reckon?
Reckoning is a 2-deck no-ban format. This format encourages players to bring whatever they feel has a solid win rate across the board. Since players are not able to ban decks that they may struggle against, they need a deck that can complement the other deck's weaknesses. Coming into a wildly different format from our last fight night, Reckoning has a wide range of represented decks. Heavy nerfs to Ionia PNZ in the recent patch leaves a major gap in the format. In past weeks, it was clear that Ionia PNZ was the anchor for most lineups, and it was definitely the deck to beat for nearly every player. While the meta is definitely still figuring itself out, there are a few decks that seem to show some promise for the future of the format. Starting off our list at number 3 is Casino. This deck was only brought by one player, but that player got first place, and that was Nola Gold. Casino is a high-velocity deck that can quickly draw through many cards in the deck. Its champions, Twisted Fate and Jinx, are relatively easy to level up and reward the player for refilling and dumping their hand. Between burn spells such as Get Excited, Mystic Shot, and Jinx Rocket, the deck can provide high amounts of burn damage as it sifts through the deck. Slotbot actually plays a big role in the deck as well and is often able to quickly hit strong stat lines such as 6/6 or higher. Cheap draw effects such as Rummage, Pick a Card, and Zonite Urchin are able to ramp up the slot bot while helping Casino players keep their options flowing. The high amount of discard effects in the deck lets it lean fully into it, with 3 copies of both Jury Rig and Flame Chompers. Since the deck cycles through itself quickly, it's often able to find a copy of Suit Up, which can pile on the pressure or let your Flame Chompers control the board. Casino is one of the most complex decks in Runeterra to play. The deck pilot will have a ton of tough decisions throughout the entire game, between discarding cards, knowing when it's time to go in on a champion level up, or move towards the burnout game plan. It is quite possible that as the weeks go on, Casino continues to rise in popularity due to its explosive turns and its ability to give players agency over the game. Coming in at our number 2 deck on the list, we've got Ezreal. This week we split up the number 2 among the Ezreal archetypes as a whole. In past weeks of Fight Night, Karma Ezreal has been the most dominant deck of the format. Due to it receiving a handful of nerfs, it has taken a back seat, leaving room for multiple styles of Ezreal to fight for the throne. The most popular variant of Ezreal this Reckoning was Ezreal Twisted Fate, with 4 out of the 16 players bringing it, finishing 3rd and 7th. While there were 4 Bilgewater Ezreal decks, there were actually 5 Noxus Ezreal builds split between 2 different styles. 3 copies of Ezreal Draven, which finished 4th and 6th, and 2 copies of Swain Ezreal, one of which finished 2nd place, piloted by Bruised by God. Ezreal Twisted Fate is the to-the-board style of Ezreal deck that has a couple of ways to win the game. It can have hands where it's easily able to level up Ezreal due to Make It Rain. Riptide Rex can be a win condition on its own, wiping the board, pushing face damage, and also instantly leveling Ezreal up. Sometimes the deck may even find itself leveling up Twisted Fate. If it's able to do this, Twisted Fate will be able to grind out opponents with his flurry of cards. In contrast to Ezreal Twisted Fate, we have an Ezreal deck that leans into Noxus for its removal suite. Noxus gives the Ezreal players access to strong removal spells such as Ravenous Flock, Death's Hand, and Culling Strike. It also gives Ezreal access to 2 choices of champions. Draven fills up the hand with Spinning Axes, which have a variety of uses. They can be discarded to Rummage, or they can be used in combination with a level up Ezreal to push damage at no mana cost. The alternative to Ezreal Draven is Ezreal Swain. This build gets to play extra copies of Ravenous Flock since it's Swain's champion spell. Swain Ezreal is a more top-heavy Ezreal build with 3 copies of Leviathan. This gives the deck an alternate win condition where it can set up both Leviathan and Swain on the board. If this combo can be assembled, it will be able to knock down the enemy board each turn as the Ezreal Swain player steps closer to its inevitable win condition. And the #1 deck for GiantSlayer's Reckoning was Ashe Sejuani. While the deck didn't win, it was by far the most played archetype, with 6 players bringing it. The deck managed to finish 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 8th place. Going into the event, it was widely believed that Ashe Sejuani was one of the most powerful decks that you could be bringing, and the numbers seem to agree. Ashe Sejuani has a powerful mid-range game plan with many large units that can quickly pile on pressure. Avarosian Trapper lets the Ashe Sejuani player fill the board with stats for a small mana investment. The deck aims to fill the board with units that have 5 or more power so that it can max out value off of a Treferian Assessor. The deck's main win condition, however, is Ashe. When leveled, she makes it so that 0 power units can't block. Once the Ashe player has assembled a decent board, they can assemble a game-ending attack. With cards such as Harsh Winds or Ashe's Flash Freeze, the Ashe player can set up a single turn where the enemy is completely unable to block. While Ashe Sejuani was the most popular deck this Reckoning, it is an important note that Nola Gold ended up taking first place with Casino and Zombie Ashe, showing us that there may be more room to experiment with Ashe decks moving forward. We had an absolutely amazing Reckoning this past week. The format is wildly different from previous weeks, and we only just begun to explore this brand new world that 1.6 has brought us. As the format continues to evolve, it will be interesting to see which build of Ezreal becomes the accepted best version of Ezreal. We'll have to pay attention to Ashe Sejuani to see if it can hold its place in the format, since despite its popularity, it was unable to finish first or second. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for future GiantSlayerLoR content.